Right, welcome to the Ball Speed podcast. We have a very special guest in today. We're actually going to be focused on leadership for this next month, and I thought no one better than our guest today. Our guest today has transformed from a professional football player to a professional football manager, and I'm going to dig deep and delve and probe and ask questions. 326 appearances as a player, 93 goals. And then Northwich, Victoria, Southport, Nuneaton, Stevenage, Oldham, and Burton. Pretty impressive stints as a manager. So, welcome to the show, Dino.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your invitation. I'm looking forward to it.
No, brilliant, excellent. So let's kind of get straight into it in terms of the realms of leadership and coaching and management. What does leadership mean to you? So what does it actually mean? Because this word gets bandied about quite a lot, but what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating subject when you get speaking about leadership. There is so many styles, there is so many domain, but probably leadership is, I think, is one of the most Googled word in the world.
Really?
For me, really, to simplify it, I put in three terms. Uh, Leadership is about the character. It's a combination of your character, your knowledge, and your actions. And then when you spoke about this three segment, almost you start with the character. First is your character. What type of leader is going to be? What do you value the most? And to do that, I think you got to go back to how life shaped you, how you upbringing, probably from a young age, from your parents, from your family, to your school, your professional career, the people you worked with, the people who you worked for. So that's probably where character, where you get to the point where your character will be who you are. You'll have certain trait. You might take that from your parent. You might have your mom and your dad inspired to be who you are. And then you talk about your knowledge, the knowledge of whichever domain you're at. If you're in football business, you got to know your football. You got to get your qualification. You got to know the business you're in. For you to make sure that when you're selling to your people, you are clear about what you want them to do. And the third thing you talk about your action is how to behave yourself. What to do, how to build teams, how to develop individual, how to achieve tasks. So that's your action, and how you're going to lead as well. As a leader, where you're going to be seen. And to go back like that in a circle, people will got to see your character. So from my point of view, people will see me first and foremost. My work ethic is second to none. So if I'm going to whatever environment I'm going at, I've got to show that I'm leading from the front. I'm totally committed, fully committed to whatever task that is, and that will inspire others to follow, if that makes sense.
For sure. And then that's a great answer. And I noticed that you spoke really passionately about your family. Would you say that they were an influence to you in terms of who you are and your values that you carry?
Oh, for sure. I think my upbringing, I came from this very south of Tunisia, a very, very humble upbringing, uh, born in the desert, in a tent. I used to travel a long way to get to school. That is self-resilient for a 6, 7-year-old boy. My parents worked really hard to raise 7 children, and we all done well in life. I'm the only one who got into football. But again, I go back to my journey. I think at 6 or 7-year-old, the only thing I want to be is a footballer. And it was kind of obsession. I sacrificed a lot, but I knew exactly what my path looked like, and I faced a lot of setbacks. But I came through them setbacks, and like you just mentioned earlier, although I haven't really played the Premier League in England, I have managed in the Premier League or the Championship, but my journey so far uh, is been a tough journey, but a great journey. Hopefully, inspire others that you can actually try and get to where you get to, despite the poor start we've had. Because sometimes in life, I wasn't privileged to have the start of some other people have, but that didn't stop me from to keep going forward.
Well, already, Dino, in this short time, I'm absolutely curious from already from hearing your journey and some of the challenges that you faced. So, in terms of the football arena, in terms of influence and um, throughout your career, 326 appearances in the professional game, that's a lot. You've probably played under certain managers, different managers. Tell me some of the positive traits that you noticed in terms of being managed yourself as a player, and how did that impact you? How did that make you feel? And that could be positive and not so positive. Obviously, you don't have to share names, but it's nice to get a balance.
Well, I think my biggest learning is I don't really remember any manager who probably improved me tactically or technically. I think the ones who probably left an impact on me, the one who valued me more as a person first and foremost. Uh, they made me feel wanted. They were there for me to develop me, to make me a better person, a better player, to further my career. So that personal touch, probably the most important part of that I've learned over the years. You have bad and good managers, but like I said, the ones you remember, it's similar to school. I've got my son, he's 11, and the ones that inspire him, the teacher that likes him, and he creates a rapport with them. So in football terms, that's the most important thing, because when I've learned is when you walk into the dressing room, players really not bothered about how good you are tactically. They're not bothered about the drills you're going to put for them. They are bothered about caring for them first and foremost, asking them how they are every day, asking them questions about outside football, about their lives, about their family, if they have kids, what they do, what they like, about their brothers, about their stories, really. And when you create that rapport, when you create that bond with your players, almost like, you know, about Albion, I didn't really want to, I told the player not to call me Gaffer. I'm more like their mentor, their bigger brothers. They're there for them to help them be better people and better players, and hopefully make a better living. So when you have that bond and that connection with them, then players will do anything for you. And that's probably what I've learned over the years. And the best managers I worked for, they're the ones that made me feel wanted really and valued as a person, as a human being, first and foremost.
And I think that rings true to me as well. I work in education, so I'm working with a lot of young people, and I think that's it. It's that relationship, isn't it? Those connections, that human touch, and I think it's got to also be centered around authenticity, because
For
some people
sure.
will know if it's not authentic, and I think it's important that. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. Um, so the changing room from what it was before to how it is today, lots of people, especially experienced coaches and managers and senior players, always say to me, Trish, it's not the same. You've got to approach it in a different way. What changes have you noticed in terms of when you were first playing and the environment in the change rooms compared to now?
Well, I think it is definitely different. Back then, we're a lot more resilient. Back then, we get told the truth as it is, and we got to deal with it, either swim or sink, really. And in a way, it wasn't bad. But there is so many others who weren't blessed with the resilience, with the strength of character, who didn't survive in how football environment was before. Um, Now it's uh, a lot more careful how you put things across, how to deal with people, which is good, because ultimately uh, there is nothing more important than the human side of people. And I think it's different, but it's for the better. I think it's for the better, because what you experience back all the days, you don't really get. Now, what I would like to do, if I'm criticizing the player, I've got to make sure that he understand what I need from him, is clear about the job, clear about what I wasn't happy about, clear about what I want from him. That might be pull him one-to-one, show him a video footage, work with him training ground. So it's more showing them what needed, rather than just shouting and screaming at them and letting them figure it out themselves. Which is, listen, that's the modern game now. That's the modern day society. I've got my son as well, like I said, play football. He doesn't respond to just like, you got to explain to him in a way where they understand it. They know what I expect from them.
And these are the changes that you've mentioned have come in now. I went to an LMA event and we had someone who was doing some analysis for Pep Guardiola. And he mentioned how Pep Guardiola would use the analysis as evidence to
Yeah,
players. So when
for
players
sure.
used to knock on the door, big superstars or big egos,
Yeah,
um, Gaffer, why am I not in a team? Pep used to say, come and sit down with me. I'm
yeah.
going to show you. And he had clips already available. This is what you do well, but actually, this is where you can improve. And I think it goes back to that relationship part where you said if you've got that honest kind of communication with the player, you're able to manage them in a better way, right?
Yeah, there is nothing ever personal. You got to make that clear to the from day one you work through you walk through. Uh, I used to even if I'm speaking about a midfield, I used to identify them with numbers rather than being individual. So my number four, that's what I expect from my number four.
Good
That's
idea.
what I expect from my number six. That's what I expect from my number three. So it's not always individual. You so and so. That's what you should do. So try and take the personal element of it. It's a team game. And like you says, I think the evidence that what you're talking about, Pep, is totally true. You always have uh, uh, if I criticize a player and in front of the group, always nothing personal. There is always you set a certain standard, and evidence is always there. And like he says, I think I'm great. I'm big in analysis as well because the best way to improve players and to have that clarity in communication with the players is to actually show them.
For sure. And when I do study visits to clubs, sometimes I notice a trend of, with analysis, it's always based upon what we haven't done well, whereas I actually think there could be power if you flip
Yeah,
catching
yeah,
or
I
do
agree
good
with you.
things.
I have any team development for me. I've always, I come home on Saturday night, watch the game back. Sunday, I clip it. I always make sure that to build a team, I think is fundamental to grab the good bits and make them as big as you want because that's what you want. That's what you want the players to walk away from the meeting room with. It's never with me about criticizing the bits we need to do better. Sometimes that'll be probably 20% of the meeting about that, but the 80% of the meeting about the good things we've done and what we need to keep doing. I used to even have a clip. I think we used to call it. It's the if you pardon me for the word, the shit that no one sees.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And I used to pick a clip like someone making a 40-yard sprint back. He doesn't get the ball, but he make a block or something that people don't realize that. So I always, at the end of my meeting on Monday morning, pick a clip that an individual done something exceptional. No one will clap it because people don't see that. People will see
Absolutely.
someone make cleans off the line or score a great goal, but they don't see the little bits. So glorifying those moments, I find it really, really helpful for team environment to create that winning environment.
And like you said, some of these things, these actions and these behaviors, they're sacrificial, yeah, and it goes back to integrity. Are you doing the right things even when people aren't watching? So I'm glad that you
Exactly,
mentioned that.
and that's go back to talk about the character of the leadership. So as a leader, what do you value? You value hard work, you value honesty, integrity, trust, teamship, all those things. You got to embed it in the culture of the team, the club that you are, and you, the figurehead there, you got to carry that through with authenticity, like what you said there. There is no if you're pretending, people will see through that.
Absolutely, and I think the key word as well is action. I think people can talk about these things, and you can hang these posters and
Yeah,
words
for
up in
sure.
change rooms, but like you said, as a leader from the front, you've got to action that, and it's got to be consistent as well. So,
For
but
sure, for sure.
I wanted to touch upon your the start of your managerial journey. It's interesting because we've got something in common. It's non-league, and Me personally, I love non-league. I think the supporters, the volunteers, and the communities within the non-league arena is organic and it's real. And tell me about your start with Northwich Victoria, because that was a very interesting position, wasn't it, for you?
Yeah, I think you go back to my coaching journey, and I came to Burnley in 1995 as a player, and I broke my leg, and I was out for 18 months, something like that, which is again showing that resilience. You come to a country totally different. You think you know a little bit of English when you come to England, but you go to Burnley and the accent, the Scottish players, and all that, the weather, the culture itself is a shocking system. Then you out of the game through injury. What do? You don't have an agent. You don't have. We're talking 1995. It's not that many now. There is. England is a lot more multicultural, if that makes sense. 1995 it wasn't. And actually, for me to try and integrate myself, understand the culture, I asked the club at the time if I could start coaching at the academy to learn the language and to immerse myself in English culture, really. And I knew that along the way, when I finished playing, I want to get into coaching. So I actually started coaching at Burnley Academy 98, 97. I used to train in the day and in the evening. I take it under 12, under 14, 2 nights a week. And then on a Sunday, I'll take them to play Preston North End, to play Carlisle, to play those games. So I'll play on a Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be taking a team. So my coaching journey actually started before Northwich Victoria. So in 2007, uh, I was a player, actually. I was 36. I was one of the experienced players. We had a really poor start to the season. Neil Redfern was the manager. I think we had about 1 point from 11 games.
Wow.
And then obviously Neil Redfern gone, and the chairman rang me. He says, Dino, I heard that you've been coaching at Burnley Academy. The players like you. You're a good leader in the dressing room. Do you fancy taking this job? So I'm thinking, well, plus they got some financial problems as well at the time. They might go to administration. There's a lot of talk of that. So I thought, well, it's, you got to back yourself. You're ready, or the only way to find out you're ready when you take the job. So I took the job. It was, I don't know how, achieved the results that we achieved. I ended up winning Manager of the League award that season. Kept them up with the game to spare. We had unbelievable run. Under financial strains, we couldn't sign anybody for about 3 4 months. It taught me so much, that experience, still as a young coach, as a young manager. But I think probably I certainly don't know anything what I know now. But I think my determination, my grit, my courage, my discipline, my drive, that's what inspired those players back then. I wouldn't say my knowledge about football. I wouldn't say my tactical, how I set up the team. But I think those things, probably my character got me through that, to drag the team from bottom of the league, to keep them safe with the game to spare. I remember Chris Wilder at the time, who's a Sheffield United now, and he had a great career. He was a Halifax Town manager at the time, and they end up going down and we're staying up. And the Tuesday, 22nd of May, I remember it vividly because probably one of my greatest nights in football. We had to beat Stevenage at Stevenage because Stevenage with Peter Taylor, they were playing for promotion. And for us to stay up, we beat them 2-1. And then Chris Wilder, after the game, they lost at Crawley, to Crawley with Halifax. And he sent me a text saying, I don't know how he did it, you needed snookers, And yeah, and we did it. And it was a great start for me to put myself on the map of coaching management. And then it's been upward curve from there. But I've learned so much from all my experiences have been really tough experiences, but it's certainly made me a better person, a better manager.
For sure. And then I think you're not giving yourself enough credit there, because you were 15 points adrift of safety when
Yeah,
you
we were. Yeah,
went
yeah.
in. And again, you had some issues with finance, but you that's how
I think actually the greatest great escape ever happened in English game. It's like you're saying, 15 points adrift. People don't come back from that, and I'm talking about November. It's like nearly the season, a lot of the season, good chunk of the season gone. To go through the run that we went through and to keep the club in the division, and we're talking National League at the time, and National League was a strong league. You talk about Stevenage, Crawley, a lot of them in League One now, Exeter City. Actually, there's 3 or 4 of them now in League One. So to do that, it was a brilliant achievement.
that's unbelievable. And I kind of noticed that from you did some managing, because I want to make this different. I want to make this clear to those that are kind of watching in is the difference between managing and coaching. You then had a spell when you went and coached. Just tell me, Dino, like for those that are not too sure that oh, I want to be a manager, I want to be a coach. What is the difference that you found in terms of being a manager and being a coach?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I would say uh, I'm a really good coach, really good coach. So people who work with me, you get the feedback. Uh, I can I can improve players. I know how to improve players through videos, through the training ground. Um, I think to do that through practice. Uh, from my first job, we talk Northwich, Victoria. I spent 10 years at Burnley Academy. I took, well, 6 hours a week coaching plus match days. So that is a lot of hours I've done before I take my first managerial job. So as a coach, I think you develop your coaching through academy. You can't walk into first team environment because the first team you don't do as much coaching. Academy, you actually coach, you develop players, that's your job. So I've been blessed to go through the right way, if that makes sense. I didn't jump in straight to first team environment. I've done hours and hours, thousands of hours coaching academy level to understand how people learn, children learn, and then adults learn. What's the things that makes the biggest impact for them to learn? Uh, and then when you get to senior level, it's about managing them. It's about management, how to get the best out of them as people first and foremost. How you're gonna impact their lives in different ways, and then the coaching bit, the bit that you add, you keep adding into them, if that makes sense. So I think there's definitely a different, you speaking about where Rooney's clear about, he's saying, I'm a coach, I'm a manager, not a coach, because he never coached. He's got there. He's obviously good with people, good with players. And that's his experience, From my experience, I've been blessed with both. I probably call myself a head coach because no matter what, you still got to manage people. Even if you call yourself a head coach, you still got to manage people, manage your staff, manage your players, try to manage upward as well, manage the media, manage the fans. So there's a lot of management in terms of when you're in that leadership role anyway, and you got to master that. And to do that, you're always learning about management. You go to courses, you try and learn from them. Uh, you got to study visit, like you just mentioned there. Recently, I spent a day with the British Army. I went to SAS in May. You go to different environment, a lot of study visit, see how other people do it. I went to rugby club, Saracen. So you always try to learn as a leader and as a coach as well, because you go to the rugby guys and see what drills they do and how they do it. I even went to the RAF. I think we went to the Red Arrow in Lincolnshire not long ago and seeing how they work. They have the meeting, the video meeting, what they're going to do. They go on fly for 10, 15 minutes, come back to the meeting room, they analyze that, things they've done well, things they need to do better. And I go those environments and I've always tried to learn.
That's amazing because the next actually question I was going to ask you was like, obviously you're seeking your next opportunity. I was going to ask you, how do you keep yourself motivated and prepared for when the call eventually comes? But you've already detailed and highlighted that you're quite proactive, aren't you, in terms of your own self-development? You find it.
I think, yeah, I realized for a long time ago, a Tunisian in England, you have to be exceptional. You have to be very qualified. You have to do more than anybody else for you to survive. And, I do all those things away from football, the developing myself as a leader, learning about different environment, how they work. And I do football as well because last April I went to visit Spain, to Valencia to watch how they work. And went to RB Leipzig as well to see the German how they work because I believe that, I'm quite fascinated by the Spanish um, coaching methodology, if that's the right word, and the German one as well, because uh, I'm big fan of Pep and big fan of Klopp, and they're both different, if that makes sense. You get the German high intensity, high press game. Most of it is out possession, how they can play, how can they play in the counter attack, and you get the Spanish game. It's all about possession based, how they build up, how they dominate the ball. So it was two constructs of culture, football culture. I wanted to go and learn from them, and I came back with great experience.
No, brilliant. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that there'll be an opportunity in the near future for you, like God willing. So I wanted to actually share something with you that I saw on your LinkedIn, and it was really interesting. I'm just going to get it up, okay? Just bear with me. Let's have a look. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I've got a new one. I put one last week, I think, as
Oh,
well. That's the old one, isn't it?
this is
That's
this is
Burton.
this is impressive, Dino. As in, you've proved that wherever you go, there's an improvement. Okay, so
I think there is a newer one I posted last week, I think.
okay, so what I'll do, I'll post that up as well on my
Yeah,
story, the updated one. That
yeah.
is um, unbelievable. Tell me what is the secret behind you going in and making an impact? And then the question I want to ask after that is, okay, so it's clear that you make an impact on teams. How can you? And this is a question for all managers, I suppose, is how do you sustain that, and what would you do differently when you do get your next opportunity?
Yeah, I think you go back to my character. I think all the teams I took, and normally, not normally, but it happened to me anyway. All the teams I take is teams at the bottom of the league. Probably all of them, apart from Stevenage, I think they were in the 22nd. But the rest of the clubs I took, they were bottom of the league. Normally, when you take a team at the bottom of the league, you find them disorganized, ill-disciplined, not motivated. So I go about the character side of the team first and foremost. I don't really go in with tactical overload with them, explain to them how we're going to play. I think the most important thing is get them fitter first. So knowing that I value work ethic, hard work, running the basic, I value that straight away from day one. Organization, make sure they are organized. They know exactly the basic of defending and attacking as a team. And the last one is get them motivated. They my three to go to all the time. I keep it nice and simple for them from day one. And they're all based really on the characteristic I want in my team. And the players, they buy into that straight away because I simplify it for them. I strip it down because the team in a bad run, normally they overload with information. They lost their way. They don't know where to go, if that makes sense. So I come in with a clear mind, try and guide them. Let's just, these three big pillars, let's focus on those. Forget the little bit details that will happen after. So if I focus on those three animals to get them fitter, to get them organized, to get them motivated, then we're halfway there. And I've always had great impact, obviously. And then you get the buy-in from the players as well, because the players we see, they see from a leader how committed you are from day one. Because when you walk into the dressing room, broken dressing room, normally when they've been losing a lot of games, they're looking into you and they're thinking, is this the guy who's going to grab us by the scruff of the neck and take us from the bottom of this league? And you got to show that we've been authentic. Otherwise, players will see through you. And I'm blessed with my passion for the game. Probably I come across to the players the right way. I've always had great rapport with the players in dressing rooms, and always got the right response from them. So that's really it's no secret really. It's the first thing is probably my commitment to the job, my commitment to make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Excellent. So in terms of this
How's
is
you spelling?
this is a tough because this is not directed just for you, Dino. This is going on every single day. Managers are always looking, right, we've got off to a good start. Like, how can I how can I create this short, medium term, and long term plan? And when you're talking about short, medium term, and long term, it's really hard to get to the medium term and the long term without winning. You
Well,
know,
actually, I'm glad Trish you asked me that question because it's something that I would like to address as well. Because you always look back and what you could do better and all the rest of it. And actually, looking at my CV, you probably think that, yeah, but why does it not sustain it? Well, for me, it's simple, right? And I'm not trying to make excuses for myself because I'm the hardest person on myself. You look at my first job at Northwich, Victoria. Uh, the financial strain, my results they happened despite the circumstance I took the clubs. Because when I take a team, I don't go and moan and whinge about it at the time. I've got to get on with the job. It's no good for me trying to, oh, we haven't got money, we haven't got that. But actually, at the time when I took Northwich Victoria, the club was in his knees. But despite that, produced results. Funny enough, a year later, after I left, because I knew the circumstance was happening, the club actually folded or gone down 2, 3 divisions. So you tell me why I didn't sustain the success in Northwich Victoria, but we couldn't because the club was gone. Then my next job, you say my next job was Nuneaton, right? Nuneaton, I achieved a great success there. Took them from the bottom of the league, 6-point drift, something like that. Left them on the verge of the playoffs within 4 months of me taking the job. Again, Nuneaton players not getting paid, all the off-field problems. There is so many things, but my focus is always on trying to develop those players and make them perform at their best ability. We've done that brilliantly. But I knew the end was very, very soon because, the club was going a different direction. So I ended up leaving to go to Stevenage. But actually, since I left Nuneaton, again, they have their financial problem. I think they dropped down a division. And so you tell me, well, you didn't, well, I couldn't, I would sustain that, but I couldn't physically because the club was going different direction. The third job was Stevenage. I took Stevenage actually when I had the second lowest budget in the league with Macclesfield, Saul Campbell at the time. And Stevenage's job at the time was keep the club in League Two. So I've done that. Again, the following season, again, with the second smallest budget in the league, I finished 1 point outside the playoffs. And when you do well, you lose players. When you're one of the smaller clubs and you're doing so well, the first thing in the summer you do is you are going to lose your two, three, four best players. Then you try rebuilding that summer in a tight budget. It's hard. And then what you need is you need a little bit of time from the club to give you time. Then you find yourself start the season 7 games in, you get sacked. You're thinking, well, actually, that's not, and then the club, you see it afterwards, you're thinking, well, they didn't do well for 2, 3 years. Stevenage was fighting relegation after they dismissed me. So I'm thinking, well, was Dino the problem actually, or the problem was bigger than that? Why would the head coach, the manager, pay the price? But actually, the club at the time was in a difficult situation financially. So whoever came in is going to find the same problem. Well, actually, that person, which at the time was me, he's the one who took us when we were bottom. So he's the best person to stabilize, if that makes sense. And that comes up from decision making. The job after that, you talk about Oldham. Oldham, again, well-known club, a brilliant football club, a huge club, ex-Premier League club, got all the things that attracted me to go take the job. Again, they had so many problems off the field, and it's well documented with the ex-owners and the problem off the field. Again, I managed to produce results, but eventually there was a ceiling to it because you can only do so much with restraints. And would I back myself to do it? Yeah, I think if I say that Oldham definitely would not be in National League now, for sure. Then they move me on, they bring Harry Kewell, they end up in National League. And you're thinking, well, again, did the club did the right thing in terms of removing a manager? Well, actually, a manager, he's the best person suited for that circumstance to keep them, sustain them for 2 or 3 years to do better. But, the decision maker, they try and do that, and then he backfires. And then the last one, Burton Albion, obviously. Burton Albion, since I joined them with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, the club has been, financially, is not a League One club. And I say this, I think Clough, brilliant manager, he left in 2020, I think. He left because the budget has been cut massively. They came down from the Championship. They stayed a year in League One. I think they tried to bounce back up. They couldn't. They decided to cut the budget. He decided to move on. They gave the job to Jake Buxton, the ex-player. Jake Buxton, he's done his best with very, very limited resources. They cut his staff, they cut his budget. They didn't do well. They were bottom of the league. Me and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank went there. We saved them the first season, despite all the constraints. Then the following season, the budget get cut again. Jimmy decided to leave. It's not for him because you can't work. You can't keep fighting the tie in League One with massive clubs with a budget of bottom half League Two. I took the job because I back myself, and that's what I always do. Kept them up. We've done unbelievable season to take them from 9 points adrift to finish 14th. The form table over the 38 games I was in charge, we were 9th in the form table with big clubs. We've done unbelievable. Then you come to the summer, your budget get cut again, and you lose your best players because your budget get cut. When I say my budget get cut, so if I want to keep my best players, I've got to pay them accordingly because other clubs will come and take them.
Sure.
And then the rebuild again, you think, well, if ideally what you do is you keep your core of the team to sustain them, to keep them in, and then you build on top of them. But when you do so well with these smaller clubs like where I've been involved in, I do well with them, and then the clubs come and take their best players, so I start rebuilding again. And then you look at Burton now, I think my record at Burton actually, 1.3 points per game in League One, which is over 75 games. I think I won about, I'm not sure how many games I won with them, 59 games, something like that. So I won a lot of games with Burton. But again, for me, the way I was dismissed, I think it was harsh. It was soon. It was, I think I had my first bad run, 6 games, 2 draws, 4 losses, I was gone. But actually, if you look back at the 7 games before that, I was nominated for the Manager of the Month award with 5 wins and 2 draws. So from 5 wins, 2 draws, great. Then you have 4 losses, 2 draws, you out. And again, you look back at the club now thinking, okay, have you done the right thing by letting Dino go? Because actually, since I've been dismissed, Albion played 34 games. They won 7 in 34. They lost 19 and they drew 9. So you're thinking, well, actually, and that's 0.7 points per game. My record with them over 75 game, I think, or something like that, is 1.3. So you're thinking, well, okay, I would like to sustain that. Certainly, Burton, if I stayed there, they would not be where they are right now, or they would be where they finished last season, for sure. But now, the owner of football clubs, the fans, they get bored too quick, I think, from managers. Managers don't last long anyway, and they always think there's something better out there. The minute you hit the bad patch, the quickest fix is to change the manager, to keep the supporters happy, to get a new energy coming in. But that new energy not always the right thing to do with football clubs. So for me, I hope I get that my next project. I'd like to take a club. I don't mind where that club is, might be bottom of the league, but I want to see when I get them away from bottom of the league, have they got the foundation to build sustainable success for the future? That's what I need to, because the clubs I've taken, they didn't have that sustainability after that, regardless of my results. Because after I leave, they don't go forward; they actually go backward. So hopefully I get the next opportunity will be the right opportunity for me. Like I said, it doesn't matter where I take them as long as they got a future to kick on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Dino, I really appreciate your openness and honesty on this. It's like we're going to have other guests on, and I'm going to be posing the same questions. And I really appreciate, what's clear is your resilience amongst. Okay, so Dino, thank you for that. I've just got some quick fire Instagram questions for you from some of my followers. If you could just answer them in the best way that you can. So this is from Rory McMullen. He said, "How would you instill confidence in young players?"
Uh, you got to find out what they're good at and harness that. I think that's the most important thing. I think where people not have confidence is because people try to pick the negative, what they can't do. But I think it's people miss harnessing what they're good at. I tell players, you don't get to this level, whatever that level is, League One, League Two, National League, unless you are very good at certain things, because million people want to be footballers, but you are one of the very few that made at this level. So you must have, let's find out what brought you to this level first of all, and harness that to take you to the next level.
Brilliant. Thank you. And this is from Reese Sheckle. He said, when you go into a club, what do your first sessions look like in terms of that first week? Like how does it look like for you?
up the intensity. Simple. Up the intensity. Whatever you're doing, you might be doing 11v11, you might be doing whatever that is, up the intensity. The players will feel straight away after they finish that session, wow, this is tough. This is like, you know. So the first thing I do is the intensity got to be up.
Thank you. And this is from Taf Rahman. He said, how do you deal with confrontation with players?
Not very good with that. I try to avoid confrontation with the players. Sometimes it's hard, but I do my best to stop that. What I do, I always go back to the video room because confrontation about football, I guess, football matters. I'm blessed because I've always have training recorded and games obviously recorded as well. So if a player not happy about something or I'm not happy about something, we can always, show them almost like in a pragmatic way.
Brilliant. And to wrap up, Dino, you've been brilliant. I'm really looking forward for this to go out. So I want you to leave a question for the next guest. So in terms of leadership, is there a question that you could maybe ask the next guest so we can start the next episode with?
For me, the fascinating question always is circumstances when change, do you ever sacrifice one of your fundamentals to survive in a job? For me, it's been no, but it'll be interesting to know better manager than me. Maybe they probably last longer, like what you say in the job. They got to sacrifice certain of their belief, their fundamental for the bigger picture, for the chairman or for owner or something like that, basically. So
that's a great question. I can't wait for them to answer that, and then I'll clip that for you. Okay. Listen. Again, I just want to show my gratitude to you for coming on and being so open and honest, and it's been really like quite raw, and that's what I want to give to my coaching, my managing, and my player community. I think it's important that I do that and I share that. So kudos to you, and thank you for coming on, and I'm sure that we'll have you on again. So thanks a lot.
thank you, man. Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.